In order to be a 300 hitter at any level, you have to become the person that's capable of hitting 300.
Arteaga drives one to center. Miller hustling over. Diving catch by Ian Miller. A great catch.
3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Nine Hope Podcast. This is your host, Ian Miller. I'm back again on this Wednesday, like we've done a couple Wednesdays in the past, with ex-Major League catcher and Wagner College good guy, Nick Dini. Nick, what's going on, brother? How you doing?
What's up, Mil? Yeah, I felt like after week 3, I should get a setup that makes it a little more clear.
Dude, that's legit.
To hear me, get the visuals down, get a little background behind me. So I'm locked and loaded, bro. Thanks for having me on.
Of course, brother. Of course, man. Like we talked about, you are. It's already becoming kind of like a mainstay thing having you on Wednesdays, bro. It makes sense. Awesome that you upgraded the whole trajectory of everything, how everything's looking, man. You got a legit setup, man. Legit mic, headphones. Awesome to have you. Awesome to have you in the podcast game again today, dude. So I wanted to keep on this theme of the youth baseball space, and I'm kind of thinking youth baseball space in terms of anybody that's not in professional. Like I think obviously like college isn't youth baseball, but I'm saying youth baseball as in like players that are younger than us, players that are probably not in the professional ranks right now, man. So whether you are, the season's about to come to an end, whether you're in high school ball, like however that works, or you're about to ramp up in travel ball, like at some point, whether it's now or in the future or in the past, you're going to experience a season or an instance where you're not where you want to be, dude. And so through our career, especially in the professional ranks, we didn't always have the best opportunities, man. And so we've a lot of times been through situations where we aren't playing as much as we'd like to be. We're not playing the positions we'd like to be. We're not hitting in the order where we'd like to be. And we're damn sure not producing the way that we'd like to be, man. So I wanted to talk to you, man. If you were in a younger player's situation, so maybe let's say, high school, college, whatever it is, man, and the season is not going where you'd like it to go. The numbers don't look well. Numbers don't look good. Man, what were some of the things that you did or worked for you that got you out of those types of situations and kind of like changed everything up, man?
Yeah, so for me specifically, dude, like it was always about the next 10 at-bats. Like, so wherever I was, I always thought of my season in increments of 10 at-bats, right? So wherever I was, if I was hitting 250, if I was hitting 200, if I was hitting 300 or 350, it didn't matter. Okay, I would look at my next 10 at-bats, and it's like, all right, you know what? I've been off to starts where I've been hitting 400 after a month, and I look up and I feel great, and I've gotten off to starts where I look up and I'm hitting 180. And no matter what the start of the year was, I always looked at it in 10 at-bats, because if I was hitting 200, I set that goal for myself. You know what? Let me hit 250 this week and just start the climb.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? Like, I want to just incrementally get better, because I knew at that point it was not going to happen in one game. It wasn't going to take one game for me to get my numbers to where I wanted to go. But I knew that if I had that game where it just kind of got me going, and it's like, okay, I put a 3 for 4 day together. Right. So now it was like, I tried to search for one of those, like a multi-hit day a week. If I was able to do that, I was going to be in good shape, because then it was like, okay, if I can sprinkle in another one during like this week, maybe 2 more. Now it's like, you look up the end of the week, you're 4 for 12. It's like, okay, like I have some momentum going forward. So I always looked at my years in increments of 10 at bats. And then when I got to the minor leagues, I started looking at it as increment, like the series. Like, forget what happened the series before. Like this series, I set specific goals for myself, and I tried to just use that, because whatever, and good, bad, or indifferent, bro, what has happened has no bearing on what is going to happen or what will happen today. Like, it doesn't matter. I could have had 4 hits yesterday. You got to show up the next day and be ready to hit. So it was like, for me, trying to quickly turn the page and understand that, like, it doesn't, like, these in a minor league season, that you have a lot of time. In a high school season, it's a little bit, it's more condensed, right? So there's a little more pressure to produce like right now. But if you can look at it as in increments of 10. You know what I mean? Like if I could just get 3 hits in my next 10 at bats, I am moving up the ladder. And then if you could do that enough, you look up at the end of the year and it's like, shit, I'm where I want to be. And vice versa too. Like I said, it's important to be able to turn the page when you are doing good, because as you know, man, you play the game long enough, you'll see it's ebbs and flows throughout the whole year. So just trying to like keep the highs for as long as you can and minimize the lows for as little amount of time as possible. So trying to break it up into 10s or in a series is something that worked for me offensively.
Bro, I absolutely love that. I started doing that, at least in my professional career, where it's like, okay, I'm facing these dudes in a 5-game set. It was AA in the Texas League, 2017, where I started doing this. So I would look at it and I would say, man, 5-game set here, dude. I'm going for at least 9 hits a series. Oh, it's Springfield, like the Cardinals, they're nasty pitching. I'm going to try to squeak out 8 this 5-game series. Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm trying to go for stuff.
Yeah.
And I would set those kind of goals dude, I would do that in increments, man. Like, why would this past game, I went 0 for 4, but like, how was I in the last 10? Like, I looked at it like that too, bro.
So did I.
It's way better. It's way healthier. It's easier to stack those like 10 ABs on top of each other, dude. Like, so what I was thinking about when I was in those type of situations, bro, is I would try to stack little wins. So that literally goes into what you were saying, bro. Like stacking those 10 ABs on top of each other, looking at stuff in 10 ABs. And dude, if you're able to incrementally stack those, like even if it's, dude, if I'm hitting 240 in a season, like, and the season's not going the way that I want it to go, and I want to be a 300 hitter, right? And I have some season left, some time left to maybe get that up there. I mean, how am I able to get up out of the rut that I'm in and produce those type of stats? I always looked at it like, dude, in order for me to become a 300 hitter, like I have to become the person that's capable of hitting 300. Bro, so it's not like a fucking mechanic. It's not like, okay, I need to swing up more or I need to swing down more. Everybody's got different mechanics. Everybody's got different things that work for them. I was thinking about this and I've been playing around with the idea of it. And I'm certain this is true. In order to be a 300 hitter at any level, you have to become the person that's capable of hitting 300. Bro, 100%. So like if you want to win a championship, you have to become capable of delivering like a championship performance. How are you going to win a championship if you can't play at a championship caliber, bro?
Exactly.
Like that's the way I was thinking about it, right?
For sure. Absolutely, dude. And those same things that I want to hit on one point that you said is like in those at-bats, like when you can look at those 10 at-bats, it helped me a lot because like say the previous 10 at-bats I had, right? Like this is how I would spin it in my own way to keep me in a good direction, like a good frame of mind and heading in the right direction was like, say I did rip off like a 4 or 5 for 10, right? And then my next 10, I was 0 for 10 because you have those, like inevitably you're going to have those throughout a year. Now I would just look at it and be like, you know what? I'm 5 for my last 20. Like I could be a lot worse. Like I'm 2 hits away this day from getting my average right exactly to where I want it to be. Let's go get 2 today. You know what I'm saying? So like I would always try to spin it in a way like the increments were 10, but then like if I had a good 10 and a bad 10 or a bad 10 then a good 10, like I would never look at it from a 20 at bats sample size if my last 10 was good. If I had a dog shit last 10, all right, you know what? Let me backtrack that a little bit. Now it's like, okay, 5 for 20. What you're hitting 250? Man, I go 2 for 4 today. I'm 7 for 24.
Whoops.
I think you're 286, 300. Like you're
now you're dangerous. Yeah.
I don't know. But dude, like that's damn near where I want to be. So like I would always play around with it and that helped me kind of just stay on track. You know what I mean? Where I'm not worried about the fact that I've gone 0 for my last 3 days. It's like, yo, okay, you've gone 0 for your last 3 days. You get 2 hits today. You keep that pace of what you just did. Now you find, like throughout the year, you keep that pace in any way that it comes because it's going to come in different ways, but you just do what you've done and you're on track to do what you want to do and achieve the goals that you set out to achieve.
Absolute. I love that. I'm thinking about it in my head and you're right. 5 for 20 is 250, bro. I thought it was 200. Was never a math guy, I guess. But
Yeah.
dude, I love everything you're saying, dude. Not above all else, but like we think about how we were maybe able to reframe the situation or look at the process, stick to the process, incrementally chip away, stack little W's, maybe look at things 10 ABs at a time for a longer term outlook. You're not going to change the whole trajectory of your season and jump from 240 to 300 in one game. Not necessarily statistically, dude, but just over time, like what this is doing. You're thinking positive about the situation.
Mhm.
You're not necessarily wishing it into existence, but like you're thinking about it. You're kind of formulating a plan. You're not telling yourself internally that like, dude, your situation sucks. There's no way out. Because as soon as, dude, those guys, we've all shared locker rooms with the fucking Debbie Downers and the dudes that are like they're moping around like their dog just died, bro. You know those dudes that
And
can't
then
get a hit.
those same dudes, when they do get a hit, it's like they're the
They're the
happiest dudes.
best. But bro, it's a cancer that's contagious, bro. And like you don't want to be around those type of dudes. So like regardless of whatever situation you're in on the field, like maybe reframing the way that you look at it and look at the problems and the stuff that's in front of you that you have to surpass. Like maybe it's got something to do with the way you're framing it, right?
100%. The way you're framing it. And here's another thing that I think is really important, right? And I'm sure you could touch on this because it's got to have happened, and you played a long time. This has had to have happened. I've got off to starts, bro, where I'm absolutely raking. 2018, the worst year of my career. I think I started the year in AAA. I hit 340 and with like over 1,000 OPS. I got demoted to AA after that because injuries, and I got sent down, right? I finished the year hitting 240, and it was like to that point I had hit 300 like every year before that. So I had this incredible start, and then I just it was a slow decline. And I've had years where I
trying to hold on.
That's it, right? And then I've had years where I've started horribly, but I built, like, I was able to stay in a good frame of mind and let like these little W's throughout the year like kind of take me to the finish line. And like, more than anybody, bro, like when I would much rather a year where like it showed me a lot about myself on years where I was able to finish strong and not start well, because it helped me build some momentum going into next year. And also for coaches, for evaluators, for people that are making decisions on where you're going to be next year, like they remember how you finished. Like the Aprils and May, they kind of get, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, slow start, but this dude like really turned it on late, and like you take that momentum into the following year. You know what I'm saying? And it's funny how that happens, because even in 2017, my best year, I was absolutely, I dominated the middle months of the year. I got April kind of sucked, but May, June, July, I was like unconscious. And then August, a little bit into September, it was kind of like trying to stay where, I was in a good enough, I made enough headway during the year that I gave myself a little cushion, but like I finished the year poorly. And then you look at 2018 and I had my worst year ever. You know what I mean? So it was like, that momentum kind of rode into the next year, as opposed to like getting off to that slow start and just staying with it and staying on the gas and trusting it. And, whatever you have to do mentally to just continue to like keep pushing forward and build that momentum going into your off season and into next year. You know what I mean? It does a lot for your mentals, bro.
I love it, brother. It feels like to me, I had the same type of experience as you. 2017, my best year. 2018, my worst year. Like whenever I was able, I don't know, man. Like I was a notoriously slow starter. And so I would, even in college, bro, like we're playing in Wagner College and we go down to open up the season to go get, a train ran on you. Right. So we're playing Virginia Tech and Georgia Tech and we're losing by 20 at the time. You know what I mean? Like, dude, now, I mean, Wagner College is legit. Craig Noto is building a legit program there. The fucking Wagner Seahawks just beat Columbia yesterday in a pretty wild shootout, dude. Yeah, it's not like that anymore. But I was always kind of a notoriously like slow starter, and I was able to kind of reframe the way that I looked at things to build the path forward, climb up. So if kids are, I say kids, right? Whether you're in college down, like if it's a shitty situation, if the year's not going the way you want it to go, if you are just scuffling to like stay afloat, my advice would be to think about what kind of goals that you want, what you're trying to set, what you're trying to do, and like think about what type of person it takes to accomplish those goals and like become that person, right? Maybe
Yeah.
put in the type of work that it takes to hit 300, maybe have the type of discipline it takes to be a 300 hitter. Like in my mind, my advice would be to become that type of person, right? Obviously there's a whole bunch of ways to do that, man. What's your take on that, bro?
So that's a good point, and I want to like jump on that train. Is like goal setting at the beginning of the year is a great thing, right? Like it gives you something to work towards. But I also think there has to be a point in the year where you revisit those preseason goals, because you might be at a point where it's like, yo, those goals I set were too low. You know what I mean? Like I'm at a point now where it's like I shot way too low. Like I'm going to take those goals that I set and I'm going to amplify them, because you know what? I put myself in a position and I'm doing the things that I need to do to get to where I want to go. Now let's take it a step further. I set my goal to hit 300. I look up and, you know, it's August and I'm hitting 340. Like, fuck, I don't want to hit 300.
Yeah, dude.
You know what I mean? Like if I hit 300, I'm pissed.
100%.
You know what I mean? But like if you look at the totality, or if you look at it from the big scope of things, I set that goal for 300. No, like you need to constantly be changing those goals, because like you might put yourself in a position. Hopefully you do put yourself in a position where, you know, I'm reaching much further. And unfortunately, if I've been on the other side of it, where I set goals and I put myself in a position where, man, those goals probably aren't obtainable, but let me just tinker them back a little bit, but still give myself something to shoot for.
For sure, bro.
You know what I mean? Like this is where I want to get. Like this goal, I'm unfortunately not able to reach it. Now at the end of the year, I look back and I say, okay, well, where did it go wrong? What could I have done better? What do I need to improve on? And I take, you know, what I learned and into the next year. But setting those goals to kind of keep you in the moment and in the present, like you are where you are. There's only like you go forward. You know what I mean? If you're looking behind you and like, oh, and you're feeling down for like how you got here, that's when you look at the end of the year and it's like, man, I took that 250 that I was hitting and now I'm hitting 220, where that 250 you go and, you know, you maybe recalibrate, take those goals and adjust. And now it's like, I'm hitting 270, 265. And it's like, okay, it's not what you set out to do, but it feels a hell of a lot better than going home hitting as a 220 hitter.
Damn straight, brother. Dude, exactly what you're saying. It makes sense. So like, if I want to set out hitting 300 and I'm setting the world on fire, you want to revisit those goals. You want to keep them, you know, within range, but also pretty high, dude. So I remember 2015, I started off notoriously slow again, high A. Like high A, my first taste of high A, and I'm struggling, dude. I'm struggling. And so I had a goal at the end of April, right? You start in early April, or at least we did back then, and you have probably about 20 games under your belt. Could probably get 100 at bats, close to maybe 80 AB, something like that. Yeah. And so my goal was, dude, I'm gonna keep it pretty high, but like I really have to fucking exceed expectations to get there. I wanted to surpass 250. Like I needed to get up past 250, right? My end goal was I wanted to hit 333. You know what I mean? Like it's just, but like I get exactly what you're saying. I'm trying to like verbalize it, but you want to reach.
You're saying exactly what I'm saying, in the sense that like, hey, the end of the year goal is say 300.
Yeah.
Getting to that like if I can get to 250 for this month and avoid the 190, the 180, the 210, if I can avoid that gets me closer to where I want to go. So now it's like, okay, you kind of readjust the end goal, right? For something a little more obtainable for this, like for the end of April. May 1st hits and it's like April's in the past. Now let's go to May. Now, you know what? I hit 250. I got to have that 320, 330 month, and it gives you something to chase. You know what I mean? Like, and that's why goal setting is great, man, because who's to tell you your goal is too high? Fuck you. You know what I mean?
Amen.
Like, get out of here. You have no idea what I'm capable of. And I freaking played my career that way, bro. Like, and I'm sure you did too, dude. Where people try to put limitations on what you can do. Like like singles hitter, like, you know what I mean? Relies on the butt, whatever the hell, like stigma that somebody wants to put on you and your offensive profile. Like, I got the same thing. So, like, don't tell me what my goal should be or what the ceiling that you're putting on my game, because you don't know. You don't know what makes me tick. You don't know the mental make. You don't know why I do this. You know what I'm
100%.
saying? So, like, I always tried to play for a purpose bigger than myself. Like, I had internally some shit that got me going,
Yeah,
and
dude.
out of a lot of ruts in my career. So,
It's awesome.
but
Love
like
to
you
hear
said,
that.
bro, that's how I approached it too. Get off to a bad start. Okay, get to this number and let's go from there.
Hell yeah. Incrementally chipping away, bro. That's fantastic. I love all that shit. So last week on the 9-hole newsletter, man, I was talking about some instances where major league vets, dudes that were established in the game, took me under their wing and kind of showed me the way, right? In baseball, you know that leadership looks like a bunch of different things in a bunch of
Yeah.
different forms, especially if it's behind the scenes, right? And so I touched on some things where some players kind of took me under their wing. And one of those instances happened to be Marwin Gonzalez when I was up in Target Field with the Twins, and I was on my phone texting. I got sidetracked. I'm in the locker room. I'm dying to play. It's like the third inning, and of course I sit down in one of the massage chairs, and I'm texting. It's not a good look. He puts me under his arm. He's like, "Get the fuck out there." And
Yeah.
so So I get out there. Dude, the next day is when Max Kepler gets hurt. I get an opportunity in the outfield, and literally 2 batters later, it's the same inning. I was ready. I got ready a little bit differently that day because of Marwin's advice, and I threw a guy out at second base for my only major league assist in the outfield, but it was fucking huge. And like, I was grateful for that. So
It's crazy how that happens.
it's absolutely insane how that happens. So we were talking a little bit about, man, coming off the bench, being a threat off the bench. Like, how do you go about doing that? Obviously, in your career, it might have looked a little different than mine because we played different positions. Like yours, coming off the bench at any point and like catching or having to hit, right? That takes a lot. That takes a lot to get ready for and kind of prepare, dude. I wanted to talk to you about, man, what would be your advice and how did you prepare coming off the bench?
So, like, early in my career, so I mean, we've talked now for 3 weeks. I was a senior sign that got $1,000, and for some people, they might not realize what that means, but essentially, there's not much invested into you, like from a financial standpoint, and like really, you're like, for me, I'll never forget, dude. I was in rookie ball, and before I kind of understood the business and what my role was, like, I was naive to how it happened. I was still under the idea of, if I played really well, like, I was going to play regardless. I just had to outplay the guy in front of me. And then I start realizing it's like, man, I'm hitting 330 and I'm still playing every 3 days. Like, what the hell is going on here? And then I'll never forget, the trainer had told me that the ATC, you are a roster filler. Verbatim told me that I am a roster filler. And I'm like, that hit home. I'm like, what the hell does that mean? It's like and essentially it was, I'm going to be a guy that, hey, they need you in low A. Somebody gets hurt. Okay, go pack your stuff. Go help the low A team. They need a catcher. You're going to play every whatever. Give the starter a breather, right? So 2017, I stuck around. I had a good year in low A. 2016, I get hurt. I'm in extended, like, just a terrible year. In 2017, I told my parents this now, because at this point I'm 23, right? I was a senior signed late. I'm 23 years old. I haven't gotten out of rookie ball. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give it one more year. I'm just going to go there. I'm going to give it my all and see what happens. Right. So 23, I get out of spring. I break in low A. Now I'm 23 at the time, backing up an 18-year-old catcher. Okay. So I'm playing once, maybe twice a week. Get off to a bad start offensively. May comes around and I start banging it around. I'm getting in there. Like I said, I'm still playing twice a week, but I'm taking advantage of my opportunities, dude. I showed up every day, and I'm the most proud of 2017 for this reason, is because I showed up. I went into the year with the mindset that I'm going to give it everything I had, and I showed up every day in 2017. And my thought was, I am going to put myself through a game before the game started, because when the game happened, like, I was going to be ready. So I was there taking hacks off doing my routine every day. I made sure that I was hitting off the machine every day, seeing velocity, seeing spin, receiving off the machine. I wouldn't sit in the dugout. I would sit in the bullpen during games, and I would take warming up pitchers. I would take every bullpen as if like nothing is getting by me. I'm going to receive the ball. I'm going to just try. I'm working every single day. Long story short, I have a great May, get called into the manager's office, and they're like, hey, you're going to Double-A. So I'm like, and that there was high A at that time. So I'm skipping high A. So essentially, guy in Double-A got hurt. I was going to go up there, roster filler, right? I was going to go fill in because I was playing well enough that it's like, okay, like go up to Double-A. I go up to Double-A. I hit 420 in a 2-week span. And the manager goes to the front office and he told me this story. Like, this kid is not going back to low A baseball. He is like, and dude, in a month's time, I was backing up in low A, and a month later, I was hitting cleanup in a Double-A lineup. Playoff team, catching a whole playoff series, invite to the Arizona Fall League, invite to Major League Spring Training. So in 1 month, I went from that roster filler, hey, go fill in for this guy that's injured, to this guy who's injured came back and didn't play because I was there and I was playing. Because and that's the most proud. And that's when I look back on the totality of my career, like obviously like that year changed the trajectory of my career.
Yeah.
But it's the most proud that I am. And you know, I was like a hard guy on myself. Like I didn't really, you know, loathed in my success and like that I had. Like it was kind of just, all right, what's next? Like keep going,
bro.
You know what I mean? But like now that I'm done playing, I look back on that year and I like damn proud of the way I approached it and went about my business every day. Like it wasn't the woe is me of my situation. Like I went into it knowing like I'm going to give it my all this year. And if it doesn't work out, man, like next thing, you know what I mean? But
yeah, brother,
I attacked it every single day. And at the end of the year, I put myself on the map and as somebody in the organization's eyes that it's like, hey, like we need to pay attention to this guy. So
100%, brother. That's awesome, dude. That's awesome. I didn't know all that shit. So that's crazy to hear. You know what I mean? Like, dude, if people look at your career, if they look on the back of your baseball card, they look you up on Google, they see that you were a Major League Baseball player, right? They probably assume that it was an easy grind to get there, right? You hit every level incrementally. It all worked out perfect, and you know what I mean? You don't really see
you
or hear.
You don't get in the weeds of it. You know what I mean?
Bro. So it's cool to hear that. I fucking love that. That fires me up. You talked about, man, you're kind of staying in the game, at least like you were staying in the bullpen. You're catching the bullpens. You're watching the game. You're paying attention. Dude, as a bench player, right? Not even talking about anything physically on how to get ready, but like watching the game, how it's unfolding, how players are performing, like how they're pitching people. Staying in the game is number one, probably the best thing you could do. But like from a individual standpoint as well, if I'm looking at a player that is playing in front of me who has maybe even a similar skill set that may say he's a leadoff 9-hole hitter, like if I'm sitting on the bench, why wouldn't I watch how that team pitches him? Right?
Yeah.
Like maybe there's patterns. So maybe
Yes.
I can get a couple mental ABs before I get up there. You know what I mean? But I'm more well equipped to go up there and produce. Have I been watching? Like if I was watching the game the whole time, you know what I mean?
And that's a point that I don't think enough guys do that. You know what I mean? Because like I'm involved in the high school game and I see all the time, man. Like I got to tell these hitters, like this guy is going to throw you a breaking ball. You just smashed a heater for a double. Like you are gonna get a breaking ball. And next thing you know, he flips over 2 breaking balls that have hit me written all over it, and we're 0-2. It's just watching the game, dude. I would get up like when I was like hitting in the 4-hole in Double-A. Like if I got up with a runner in scoring position, I'm sitting breaking ball because I've watched enough baseball. I've called enough games behind the plate where I knew like I'm like most hitters, they go up there and it's just like fastball. Like I want to get on the like, dude, we all want to hit fastballs. Like I understand that. And I tell hitters all the time, I'm like, you want to hit the fastball, you want to get the fastball, hit the other stuff. Because then he has to acknowledge and respect the fact that he can't just flip over a free one. So now it's like, okay, you're going to buy yourself more heaters when you just commit one at bat to getting on his breaking ball, because to this point, he's just going to keep flipping it to you. And now you're 0-2 and that fast, he just slowed you down to the point where that fastball, you don't have a chance on it because he slowed you down enough and he's done enough work to put that in your head. And you know it more than anybody, man. Hitting 0-2 it's tough.
Good luck, bro.
It's a tough spot to be in. So it's just like watching the game, and you said it, dude. And I was going to bring that up. It was actually in my notes. Is like, as a bench player and a role player, it's being able to, instead of sitting on the bench pouting and being pissed off about your current situation and where you are, you have a 2 to 2.5, 3 hour window to just soak up as much information as you can. Be a damn sponge, watch the game, because it leaves a lot of clues as to how you can approach it to better put yourself in a position to have success when you get in there. And honestly, as in that type of role, those marginal things make you better and is going to give you a better chance at success, because you don't have the luxury of getting, you play 6 times a week times 5 you don't have the luxury of getting 25 to 30 at bats a week. You know what I mean? You might get 10 at bats a week. So it's like, how do you make up those 15 at bats in reps, the work you do before the game, like making the work before very detailed and having a plan. And like, that's another thing, man. I approached pregame as if it was that I'm playing today.
Yeah, bro.
But I'm playing at 3:00 and everybody else is playing at 7.
I love
what I mean? So you have 3 hours to gain a lot of knowledge and understanding of what guys are doing, how they're pitching guys. And then you can take those approaches into the game. Like, you got to, it's on the margins, man. It's very marginal. And the more information you gather, the more in tune with the game you are and just paying attention.
Yeah. You stand a better chance having
100%.
already accrued and like taken in information. And dude, being a student of the game is huge, especially if you were a bench player, just fucking locking in, like doing your job, which leads me to another point. And it's probably going to be, it's my last one I have here, but it's like, dude, being a good teammate requires no talent. You don't necessarily have to kiss everybody's ass. I know that, like, you want to be playing. I know that, but I found out a lot about myself too, being in the big leagues, being a bench player, like having to root for my fucking guys.
Yeah.
Right. Because like the more games that we win, the more games that we stay around, you make the playoff. Like, dude, it's more paychecks for you. Right. So you're cheering on for your dudes. You know what I mean? Like you're cheering for those guys. And then if you are a teammate for them, dude, being a teammate means that you're in the game. So like, at least if you come off the bench and you come into a game that you've been paying attention to, you've been cheering your boys on for, like, at least you can feel like you're part of this game and like you have been a teammate and part of it, at least up until this point. And now you can showcase like what you got to influence the game. You know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely.
I feel that.
Absolutely. And dude, that goes to a really good point, man. It's like, because when it's all said and done, everybody's career comes to an end. And, there's going to be like, I don't know the percentages. 1% of minor leaguers are going to, maybe a little more, make the big leagues. And then of those big leaguers, the smaller percentage is going to accrue 10 years in the big leagues. And that's the guys that people know. And then the smallest percentage of those 10-year vets are going to be Hall of Fame players that get remembered for their play. But when it's all said and done, man, those guys that just kind of, they carve out a nice career for themselves, like, you want people to be able to say, like, hey, Ian Miller, great dude, great teammate. And most of the time, they know you're a good player, dude. You got drafted. You played 10 years of professional baseball.
Yeah.
You're a hell of a fucking player. People, when they hear Ian Miller or when they hear Nick Dini, you want them to be able to say, man, that, like, oh, I love that kid. Like, that's a great dude. It was a great dude, great teammate. He did the right thing. Like, that's how you want to be remembered. And that's the thing that people do remember. You know what I mean? They don't remember the errors that you make. They barely remember the home runs that you hit. They're going to remember how you are as a teammate, how you are in the clubhouse. How were you in those times of struggle? How were you in those times of success? How were you in those moments in the clubhouse that, only people that are fortunate enough to be in there get to take with them for the rest of their lives? You know what I mean? Like, that's how you want to be remembered. And I think that goes to the point that I brought up last week, that like from a coaching perspective, like you want that message to be heard. You want to like breed and nurture good men more than anything. Like and those good men will be good players and good people to be around. And that's like the kind of environment that you want in a clubhouse. You can fill a clubhouse with enough of those guys. I promise you're going to have some success. You know what I mean? And it's
Amen.
It's something that gets overlooked at a younger level because, you know, everybody has their own individual goals and where they want to take their game. But really practicing, like you can practice that. You can do that. And that's the thing we talked about too, right? Is like you can still be pissed off about your circumstance, but don't wear it. Like internally, like let that fuel your fire. But don't let the other 24, however many guys are on your team, don't let them see that. Let them be able to, like, at the end of the day, say that guy was a good dude and a great team.
Yeah, dude. Like let that stuff fuel your fire, but they have their own fire that they don't need you to like piss on with your, you know what I mean? Like everybody's going through some shit. Nobody cares about your problems, right?
Yeah.
It's about being a good teammate, dude. Everybody's dealing with some stuff, dude. I love all that, bro. I love all of that, dude. Man, it's game changing.
And I wish there was like, you know, what's the tough part of that too, bro? Like thinking about it is like the way the minor leagues is set up and the way like professional baseball is set up, like it's a really like everybody is out for their individual success, right? Like you have to have a little bit of selfishness to you. So like I'm not saying don't care about how you do, like you have to.
Yeah, for
You're
sure.
trying to advance your career, but like there is a way to go about it and not letting successes or failures be worn on your sleeve. Like don't like be the same guy every day. Like, and it's hard. Like it's a lot easier said than done. But if you go into it with that mindset, like, man, I'm just going to be the same guy every day. When I show up here, what you do on your own time, okay. But when you show up in the clubhouse and you show up every day to work, be the same guy, no matter if you're 4 for 4 the day before or 0 for 4 with 4 punch outs.
Amen.
Be the same guy.
Big time, dude. We'll leave it off with that, dude. Deans, appreciate you being here again, bro, on this Wednesday. Plan on running it back with you next Wednesday, same time, dude. We'll keep it going, man. I appreciate you being here. Yeah, dude. Thank you for your time, dude. Appreciate you being here, dude.
Thank you, Mills. Appreciate you as always, brother. Love
you got it, dude. Of course, man. I appreciate everybody else for being here, tuning in, man. Whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on Apple Podcasts, we will catch you guys here with Nick again next week. See you, everybody.